Hello world, it's Austin. I'm coming to you from the floor of the Philadelphia Trans Health Conference. This has been a really great experience. I'm here on the Thursday through Sunday morning, and I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people, and I wanted to amplify some of their voices. I've talked to a couple people about what it's like to be trans and Christian for them, and so a couple of people talked about Bible passages that are important to them. A couple of people talked about bits of theology that were important for their transition and for their understanding of being trans. And so I just wanted to show a couple of other people talking about what it's like to be trans and Christian. So hope you enjoy.
My name is Andrew Amanda Lee Bullard. I use they, them pronouns. And for me, being a trans Christian has meant needing to learn how to trust in God's love for me, even when the religious communities that introduce me to God tell me that I cannot exist.
My name is Kathy Randall, and I grew up in the Christian faith. And although you've heard a lot of negative things about the Christian faith, one of the things that I really love was the life of Jesus. He was not mainstream. He kicked over boundaries, he broke through barriers. Looking at his life, the non-dualistic thinking, there was so many wonderful things that you can learn through the teachings of Jesus. Not necessarily the teachings of the church that I grew up with, but the teachings of Christ. And to me, it's been a real lifesaver. It's helped me in my transition and my self-acceptance, because Jesus, I know, accepted me. He accepted himself.
I'm Zachary Seiler. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a genderqueer Christian. For me, exploring my own identity of gender itself has helped me to explore the vastness of the identity of God, and for that I'm really happy.
I'm Kit Apostolakis, and I am a trans Christian and a trans Catholic because sacramental theology helps me love my body better.
Hey everybody, I'm back from the Philly Trans Health Conference. I got back on Sunday, and the first thing that I heard was about the Orlando shooting. And now I really don't know what to do. I had such an amazing time at the conference and got to see... I was just overwhelmed with hope. The conference just overwhelmed me with hope in a really wonderful way. I got to meet a whole bunch of other trans people of faith. On Friday I went to a workshop by and for trans Muslims, and it was amazing. I got to just sit and listen. And then I went on Friday night to a Shabbat dinner for trans Jews, and I got to sit and listen. And it was just amazing to see so many other trans people who are learning how to reclaim their faith, how to integrate their faith and their identity. It was just really amazing to see. And then I met a whole bunch of other trans Christians, some of whom are trans seminarians, some of whom are leaders in their faith tradition, and I got to highlight just a few here in this video, but there were more. There were more than just the people here. But obviously a lot of people can't or don't feel comfortable being on camera because they're not fully out yet. There are other conflicts that people have, and so I didn't want to pressure anybody, so I thought I'd just share just a few of these small stories with you, just so that you know that you're not alone and that there are other people like you out there. The other thing that really gave me hope was my workshop that I led on Saturday. I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up because, well, for two reasons. One, because not all the workshops had a ton of people. Sometimes it was just a dozen people, maybe 24 people. Which was great because it meant we all get to sit around in a circle and have a conversation rather than it being a lecture. But I wasn't sure how many people to expect in my workshop. It was a workshop on trans or gender non-conforming people in the Bible, and it very clearly said in the Bible and Scripture and Christianity and yada yada. And so many trans folks have been hit over the head by Christianity. I just wasn't sure anybody would come. In a lot of ways, even if they read the booklet for the conference and knew that it was led by a trans person, I think it can still feel a lot like walking into the lion's den for a lot of trans folks to be cool, let me go hear about the Bible that has been used to tell me that I am worthless, So anyways, I just wasn't sure who would show up, and as it turned out, we had a full room. We had something like 75 people. And everybody asked great questions, and I got to talk about, the Ethiopian eunuch and Deborah and like all these gender nonconforming folks in the Bible. And it was amazing, and so I felt a lot of hope because of that. So then I get home on Sunday, I get off the plane, and I find out about the Orlando shooting, and the fact that, 49 people were shot, and 50 dead if you include the shooter, and then, 53 people injured. And so I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to hold the hope that I felt, and still feel, along with the anger and the sorrow and the frustration and the fear, the very real huge fear that I feel. I don't know how to hold those things together exactly. So I guess what I want to say just about the shooting, like I don't want to go into all the details about what happened and everything, because we're doing that all over. There's a new piece about like what we know about the shooting every like 5 minutes, it seems like, on social media. But I do think that there are a couple things that we need to remember and keep in mind. One, that this shooting was at a gay club. The shooting was of LGBT folks, LGBTQ plus folks, and people that they were close to. So that was a targeted community. We need to remember that it was also Latinx and Indigenous folks' night there. And so almost all of the names that you will read of the people who died are Latinx, and so like that's important to remember, that they were targeted too. It's important to remember that even though the shooter is Muslim, that he does not represent all of what Islam is. And like he doesn't, like we can't make this a scapegoat thing. Like it is just as easy to say, like people say all the time, like, well, look at all these acts of terror committed by Muslims, like it must be a thing about Islam. But like look at all of these acts of terror that are committed by men, and nobody's saying that it's a man thing, like it's just we're selectively scapegoating communities, and that's not okay. So we as Christians need to stand with our Muslim siblings and, tell them that like they have a right to practice their faith, and like there are queer Muslims exist, right? Like this is not like it just feels like there's so much wrapped up in like pitting people against each other, when in fact communities, people move between and within communities, and so we can't just say like you're over there and I'm over here and we are different, and like that's not the way the world works. Anyway, I just think it's important to remember those facts. I think it's important to remember the people that are directly involved, like literally like in the hospital recovering, directly involved. But I think as LGBTQ plus folks, this has just been a really difficult weekend, because it brings up just like gut-wrenching terror. And it is a terror that is felt by many other people out there too. Other people in these marginalized communities. So I don't know, guys. I just, yeah, I don't know what to say. What I do know is that even in situations that should not have happened, and even in situations that we need to work to prevent from happening again, even in these times, God brings life out of death. That's what God does. And so I trust that there will be new life somehow, even when it feels like there's no way that can possibly happen. Yeah. I hope that you will look down below in the links and see what you can do to help end gun violence in the United States, to help stop things like this from happening again. And I think there's a real responsibility that the church, the Christian church worldwide has, and I think other religions have this too, but I'm part of Christianity, and so that's where I need to work. I think Christianity has a big responsibility right now to say that we are going to be the people that are going to make things better. Not the only people, but that we are going to be a part of God's kingdom on earth, which is governed by somebody that we call the Prince of Peace, and somebody who comforts those who are mourning. So I think that's our responsibility, and I think that if Christians are serious about their faith, we need to get on board, and we need to stop squabbling about things like gender identity and sexuality, and maybe protect the people that need protecting. So anyways, that's all I got, and we'll be back here next Wednesday. Thank you for watching. I am holding you all in my prayers this week as we continue to muddle our way through this situation. I'm with you. Peace, everyone.